Alrighty, welcome everybody to a very special Econ Chats. Videos designed to help you be successful in class and on the milestone and maybe, possibly, even in life. And I know there's a lot of uncertainty when it comes to this coronavirus stuff, but one thing you can be certain of, there's some economics there. The one thing that I thought about when we started talking about all this coronavirus stuff is how can we tie it into economics? Because remember, that's one thing we want you to know is that this stuff really exists in real life. So here are the top 5 things that you've learned and how we can tie it into coronavirus. Talk about things that we've learned. Let's start talking about what we learned from the very beginning. One of the most basic problems of economics, of course, is scarcity. Scarcity meaning, of course, that we don't have enough. So when we look at scarcity in this context, obviously it means the supplies and the stores and the things that are off the shelves. But we can also look at scarcity as it relates to the actual test. Remember, the coronavirus test isn't as prevalent. There aren't as many of them out there. And because of that, it brings us to the second thing that we've talked about, which is that economics revolves around making decisions. So we've talked about when you make decisions, we look at the costs and benefits of those decisions. And obviously, whether we're talking about closing down borders or whether we're talking about keeping people quarantined in our homes and all that, there are going to be costs and benefits associated with that. Now, again, that should remind you of the third thing that we've already learned about. And we talk about all this decision making, which of course is opportunity costs. With opportunity costs, we have to look at things about, let's look at how schools are closing or if they're going to close. Currently, as I do this video, it's about 2:40 on Sunday afternoon and Columbia County schools aren't closed. However, you have to also realize that they have to look at a bunch of different information in order to make this decision. And there are going to be costs and benefits to whatever decision they make. After all, if they decide to close, they're looking at, well, we want to do that because we think it'll help stop the spread of the virus. However, there's going to be an opportunity cost to that because there are students, kids out there that are going to be out of school, but yet maybe somebody isn't going to be home that can help take care of them. That's going to cause some stress on the general public. Of course, also, there are other services that some of our students throughout Columbia County, all the thousands and thousands of students that are out there, some of them rely on things at school that aren't just education. And so those are going to have to be some things considered when we're talking about making this very, very difficult decision as well. Now, of course, when we talk about, the types of economies, the fourth thing that you need to be aware of is this whole idea that we live in a mixed economy. Remember, the United States is a modern economy where we have businesses, individuals, and governments all making decisions about or that influence the economy. Remember the big 3 questions of what are we producing, how are we going to produce, and who are we producing it for? But when we talk about government now, obviously we're looking at things that they are doing. The government is doing across state and local and federal governments that ultimately is going to impact and affect the economy. So we can see our type of economy, the modern market system at work. And finally, the fifth one is probably the largest one or the biggest example or the easiest to see, I should probably say, which of course is the impact of supply and demand. We've seen price gouging. We have seen goods and things be, the demand increase exponentially for some of these goods. And therefore the prices are increasing, crazy prices for things like hand sanitizer and, hygienic wipes and, yes, of course, toilet paper is all affected and impacted by the pressures of supply and demand. So there you go, 5 things: scarcity, decision making, aka marginal costs and benefits as we use those, opportunity costs as a result of making any of those decisions. Of course, all these decisions are being made in our modern mixed economy, which means you have business, individual, and government input, and then naturally the flow of supply and demand messing with prices and changing things up. So 5 things you've learned. Listen, when it comes to this hybrid stuff, don't worry. We're going to take care of it. I want you to understand that we're going to be working with you as well as we can to make sure that you get everything you need to learn and everything you need to do. We'll stay in touch when it comes to things like tests and all that. So don't you worry about it. Just try to do the assignments as well you can. Remember, wash your hands, take care of yourself, and we'll see you later.